Thank you all for joining us. I'm Ron Freeman, the CEO of Everything Senior Living, and today I'm joined by a guest, Susan Blais. And the reason we've asked Susan to join us this morning is because her mom is in senior living, and right now we are in an unprecedented time in the senior living industry because of the COVID-19 virus and how it is really isolating families and residents from one another. So Susan, thank you for joining us. And with your mom at Ingleside Senior Living, tell us about how you're coping with and how you're staying connected with your mom during this time.
It's actually pretty difficult. I haven't physically seen her in about 4 weeks now.
Oh, wow.
I stopped going in about a week before the lockdown message was sent by this management over there because I had been out and about and I didn't want to bring the virus into the facility. So we have been staying in touch with FaceTime by the caregivers using their phones. But it's really interesting because mom doesn't know who I am anymore. And so when we get on the phone, the caregiver will say, "Who's that?" And she says, "I don't know." But I think I'm doing it more for me than for her at this point, to be honest.
That makes sense. Does she seem in good spirits there? Everything seem normal?
Oh, yeah. And the other thing they do, which I really appreciate, is they send photos all the time and little videos. They sent me a video a few days ago of one of the caregivers and my mom dancing out on the patio on a sunny day, slowly, of course, but they were playing music and dancing. And I will say they do a great job of keeping them active and doing all kinds of things with them. They can't go out on their trips now, which they did several weeks before. So they're doing games and who knows what in there, but they're keeping them busy.
So the caregivers are your current heroes then?
Absolutely.
Okay. That's interesting that they're doing FaceTime. I hadn't thought of doing that, having the caregivers doing that with your mom. So what are you, and by the way, that's all good news. It's excellent. It sounds like she's at a place that is really taking care of her.
Absolutely.
So I know the owners are involved with the running of that organization. What are you hearing from them right now?
I haven't really heard from them in quite a while, but there's another person they have on their team that I do hear from. He sends out letters and lets us know what they're doing to prevent the virus being inside the community and just little updates about what they're seeing and doing.
Okay, so they're speaking through him to communicate to the families.
Yeah, it's fine with me. I don't really need as much contact with them as I do with the caregivers and with the activity director. She's kind of my inside line. And I asked her a couple of weeks ago, are there a lot of caregivers that are calling off because of this virus? And she said, it's been amazing. There have been nobody calling off. All the caregivers are coming to work, which is very comforting. I was a little concerned about that.
And they have no positive tests from the caregivers or from the residents there?
No, I have heard nothing about anything like that.
That's really good news for you and your family.
Yes, it is.
Any idea when you'll be able to go back and see her?
I'm thinking it won't be for a few weeks. Probably, I know there's talk now about starting the country back in business, which I'll be very happy for personally. But I would think that these places that house the very most frail and the most vulnerable to the virus will probably be the last to open to us, which I am fully in support of, unless they find some kind of vaccine that they can give them or something. I would think that it's going to be a while. I'm thinking at least another month, if not longer. But as long as I can see her and know she's well and have those little FaceTimes and so on and get communication from the caregivers and the nurses, they call me also and tell me what's going on, then I'm okay with it. There's not much else I can do. I wouldn't certainly want to risk anybody's health by trying to get in there when I shouldn't.
So with this platform, there's probably a lot of people listening who have parents in senior living. What would any advice for them? Any nuggets of wisdom?
Probably not much they haven't thought of. Maybe is to do the FaceTimes if you have the smartphone and there's someone at the community that can do that with you. Phone calls, it doesn't really work with my mom to do phone calls anymore, but if if your loved one is one that can work well on the phone, then I would just do the phone calls at least once a week to keep in touch. And I think it's really important to keep in touch with the nurse or the caregiver that is particularly involved with your loved one so that you know what's going on. You know, my mom has various issues, as a lot of these people do, and they keep me up to date on therapy that she's getting and, you know, how she's doing with her eating and things like that. And so just keeping that contact open with the people that are closest to them at this time, I think is very helpful. It calms the nerves.
So it sounds like communication and information. So being able to communicate directly with your loved one, communicate directly with those who are providing care, and then information on what they're doing to keep people entertained and keep people well cared for, and what they're also doing specifically to keep everything as clean as possible and virus free.
Yes, all of the above. I think it's very, very helpful. And like I said, I could let myself worry about these things, but I don't, because I feel like I'm well informed.
That's good. So that's, I think, really good advice, both for families and for communities. It sounds like it's something that's similar to another philosophy I've heard of it. It's simple, but not always easy. So a lot of intentionality on their part to do that.
That's right.
But using those two things sounds like a critical thing for you and your own emotional well-being during this time when you can't
Absolutely.
see her.
I think, you know, like I said, my mom has no problem. She thinks she's just fine with everything, but I'm the one who worries. And so it's me at this point more than for her. That might not always be the case, but in my case it is. That I am comforted that I know she's well taken care of and smiling and well dressed every day and all that, you know. So it's a good thing. And I understand for the caregivers, they've got their hands full 24/7 anyway. And so now an extra burden on them to do FaceTimes, to do phone calls, to do these things that they don't normally have to fit into their day. But at least where mom is, they're doing it in good spirits and seem to be enjoying it, actually, trying to make her laugh and things like that.
That's excellent. My experience in the industry is that it is full of very well-meaning, very competent people who truly want what's best for the seniors in their care. And I'm not surprised to hear them going over and above at this time. That's very consistent with the character of a lot of people that I've met in the industry.
I think they are the angels of the human race, actually. They do work that I certainly wouldn't want to do, but I appreciate it every day.
Yeah, and that's an interesting point. Something maybe to think about is what we can do as those who have loved ones in senior living to say thank you at this time and in the future.
That is a great idea. We do that occasionally, but I haven't done it in a while, and they could probably really use it right now.
I think that's an excellent idea. So Susan, hey, thank you so much for your time today. And so we just want to do a shout out to everybody who's watching and listening, either live or in the future. If you have a story you'd like to share, if you have a loved one in senior living, or you're in the industry and there's something that you think we need to be addressing, or if you'd like to come on our live stream for a Q&A, we'd love to have you. So please drop us a comment below, contact us, subscribe, and the email that you can reach us at is contact@everythingseniorliving.com. So Susan, thank you once again, and thank you all for joining us.